Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for August 5th. August 5th is the 217th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 218th in leap years, with 148 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is seditious. Now, sedition is a conduct or speech which incites people to rebel against authorities, and seditious is an adjective that describes the state or act of inciting or causing people to rebel. Hold that thought. We're going to come back to it again in a minute. And with that, Henry I was crowned King of England in Westminster Abbey on August 5th, 1100. On August 5th, 1583, Sir Humphrey Gilbert established the first English colony in North America, what is now St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. On August 5th in the year 1620, the Mayflower departed from Southampton, England, carrying would-be settlers on his first attempt to reach North America. They landed, I think, over in Massachusetts somewhere. Now, bonus word. We heard about seditious a few minutes ago, and now we have libel, which is a method of defamation that is injurious to a person's reputation, exposes a person to public hatred, contempt, or ridicule, or injures a person in his or her business reputation. That said, in 1733, a man named John Peter Zenger started a paper called the New York Weekly Journal. In this paper, he published opinions critical of the colonial governor, William Cosby. Cosby didn't like this very much and had Zenger arrested and charged with seditious libel. On August 5th, 1735, New York Weekly Journal writer John Peter Zenger was acquitted of seditious libel against the royal governor of New York when it was found that what he had published was actually true, making Zenger an early symbol of freedom of the press. On August 5th, 1858, the first transatlantic telegraph cable was completed after several unsuccessful earlier attempts. Now, we've talked about transatlantic telegraph cables before, and I gotta say, I don't think the ocean likes them very much. This one operated for less than a month. On August 5th, 1888, Carl Benz's wife, Bertha, drove from Mannheim to Pforzheim and back in the first long-distance automobile trip. Now, it's about 121 miles round trip, 194 kilometers for my metric friends. And she didn't tell Carl she was going to do this. He probably would have tried to talk her out of it. And she took her two sons, ages 14 and 15, and gosh, what an adventure that must have been for them. Now, why would she do this? Take that motor wagon on such a long trip without telling her husband? Well, ostensibly it was to visit her mother, but she also wanted to demonstrate to her husband that automobiles could be useful and that they could be a financial success. They could be useful to lots of people and they would buy these things. So she met with several challenges along the way. She had some mechanical difficulties. She overcame all of those. She had to find the solvent that was used as a fuel, which was available at the time only through a dispensing chemist shop, what we might think of as a pharmacy. So the world's first filling station was a little pharmacy in Germany. It still exists. I think there's a historical plaque out there denoting it as the first filling station. I didn't see the sign, but I heard that there's one out there. She, as I said, had other mechanical difficulties along the way, but she successfully dealt with them, and these difficulties gave Carl some ideas about things to improve in the motor wagon, which is what they called it at the time. And She didn't actually make the entire trip in one day. I did wonder about that. 121 miles in a little car like that. No, she left at dawn from Mannheim and arrived at Forsheim sometime after dusk, so it took her all day to take that trip. All day to take a trip that right now we could make in one of our modern automobiles in about an hour or less. They stayed and visited her mother, came back about 3 days later by a slightly different route, taking a more scenic tour coming back. And that entire route up and back is today marked as the Bertha Benz Memorial Route. Go Bertha! That's pretty cool. And, oh my goodness, on August 5th, 1957, a TV show called American Bandstand debuted on the ABC television network. It was hosted by the ever-youthful Dick Clark. I can hear that intro music playing in my head right now, but I'm not going to sing it for you. They played current popular music and let teenagers dance to it on camera, and they would have some current popular music artists come in and lip sync one of their songs. They also had a segment called Rate the Record, where Dick Clark would ask a couple of people to evaluate a new piece of music and justify their reasons for their evaluation. They'd give it a score. And this is where we get the catchphrase, "It's got a good beat and you can dance to it." American Bandstand evolved over the years, of course, and it ran until about 1989. Now, at the age of 36, Marilyn Monroe was found dead in her Los Angeles home on August 5th, 1962. While her death was ruled at the time to be an accidental drug overdose, subsequent investigations and/or theories have suggested she may have been murdered. Today's song is Miss You by the Rolling Stones, #1 on August 5th, 1978. It was released in May of 1978 as a single from the album Some Girls. Written by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, it may or may not have been conceived as a disco song, but they did come out with an extended version of it as a special disco version. In 2002, an artist known as Dr. Dre released a remix of it, and I'm pretty sure I remember Gilda Radner alluding to it as Rosanna Dana. Miss You by the Rolling Stones, #1, August 5th, 1978. Link in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with the link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include the link to my blog page. That is called, no really. You can also find me on Rumble, Parler, BitChute, and Getter. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.